Hi, I'm Omar.
And I'm Mia.
And this is Hey, That's on Netflix Instant Watch, where we recommend things to watch on Netflix Instant Watch.
This week we're going to tell you our top 5 choices for a Netflix documentarian.
How do you know if you're a Netflix documentarian? You see everything in a documentary montage. Reality isn't real enough for you.
Look, we got a postcard from Tommy.
Oh, could you do that under, better light? And you love being interviewed. It's so weird, because you spend most of your life in school, and then when you graduate, suddenly you're out, and you can just, Hello? No, just Home Alone. You didn't like the Mandarin.
So, here's our list.
Number 5 is Grizzly Man. This is a documentary by Werner Herzog about Timothy Treadwell, a man who went to go live out with grizzly bears. It's got beautiful photography, investigates our role in nature, but it's a little disturbing at the end. It's actually a lot disturbing at the end, so you have to be very emotionally prepared before you will sit down to watch it.
Number 4 is Queen of Versailles. This is a documentary that documents this super rich family, really rich, but then they become not so rich because the recession happens and they lose a lot of their money and they have to live below their means. What's really interesting is that the filmmakers didn't know that this was going to happen. I mean, they couldn't predict the recession, and they thought that they were just going to be filming how this really rich family lives, and it became just much more interesting and complex.
Number 3 is 180 Degrees South. This is like a surfing, climbing, travelogue documentary about a trip to Patagonia. But really, it's an essay about conservation and how humans choose to live their lives. Now I'm sure you're thinking, oh, this UCSB guy, of course he loves surfing, climbing documentaries, but this was recommended to me by my dad, and he's an engineer.
The only problem is, after you watch 180 Degrees South, you kind of just want to document everything that happens to you and all of your outings as though you're making a travelogue.
You want some juice?
No thanks.
Alright. It's been about 4 seconds since I left the couch. It's been amazing so far. People have taught me a lot, and I've learned a lot about myself. And I just feel like, I don't know if I can ever go back.
Number 2 is Jiro Dreams of Sushi. I'm sure all of your friends and Netflix has recommended Jiro Dreams of Sushi to you. That's how I heard about it. That's how everyone heard about it months ago when Netflix was like, you might like to watch Jiro Dreams of Sushi. It's about a master sushi chef who makes masterful sushi, and you get to see beautiful close-ups of it and also witness the kind of craziness and insanity that is his work ethic and mind. The human part of it is kind of like his son and his relationship with his son, but also close-ups of sushi.
And number 1 is Indie Game. This is a beautiful but very stressful documentary about making indie games.
I was so stressed.
It follows 3 indie game makers and shows you kind of how they make their game, market their games, get their games out there, deal with legal conflicts, and try to survive. And it's so hard. Everything is so difficult in this documentary.
The world is against them. There's basically 3 separate games, but it mostly focuses on 2 teams and kind of cutting back and forth, comparing how their progress on their game is going. And both of the games just look amazing on screen to watch too.
And these are games you can play, so it's kind of interesting to watch a documentary and then go get these games and play them.
Indie Game was recommended to us by our friend Annie Wilkes, and it is pretty much the reason that we had to make a documentary list. It was so moving, so interesting, so good, and so geeky.
So, without further ado, it gets a glowing recommendation. So, that's our list.
What are your favorite documentaries? A lot of them are on Netflix Instant Watch. Leave your answers in the comments below. Also, last week we asked what were your favorite books and what would you dress up as to go to a book-themed party, and EJ had a video response.
I really like books like The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, but my favorite book, just because it changed so much for me, would probably be Dante's Paradiso. And everyone talks about the Inferno, but for me, the build-up in Inferno to Purgatorio to Paradiso, that was the biggest payoff for me. And to answer the last question, I would dress up as Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I would just go around and tell people it's a book, just so I could have that blue arrow on my forehead. And that's it. Thanks so much.
EJ is that author who wrote that like fantasy supernatural abstract book that was sent to us, which is really cool, which you can buy on Amazon. So thanks for talking to us, EJ.
You can always check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Alright guys, we'll see you next week.
Bye. I'm going to use butcher paper and a Sharpie to make Pin the Harpoon on Moby Dick.
I'm also going to be using paper and a Sharpie to make an About the Author section that people can take pictures with.
We have a lot of books that we don't read anymore and want to give away, so I'm going to make a little book adoption center